Hello, everyone. I'm Gerald. Welcome to the podcast where I'll share my thoughts on life and leadership. You know, this podcast is for everyone who loves the local church, whether you're leading the way or serving faithfully on a team. And if these conversations encourage or challenge you, hit subscribe, leave a quick review, and share this episode with a friend on your team. Let's keep growing together as we build teams that build the church. We'll be talking today from our book, It Takes a Team. And my goal in writing this book is that it would be a team-building handbook that would continue to be a hands-on resource for leaders and teams. It has graphics in it, it's got illustrations, it's got lists. In other words, it's visual and it's designed so that you and your team can go through it together. You can find out more at kevingerald.com. So on today's podcast, we're going to talk from chapter 11. The chapter title is taken from the book of Deuteronomy 22 and verse 10. And it reads like this. It says, "Do not plow with an ox and an ass together." So the King James Version says the word ass. The NIV uses donkey. It's all talking about that same animal. And I know it seems odd to talk out of this verse, or to even, more odd maybe, to title a chapter in a book from this verse. But I am hoping, here's what I'm hoping, that this instruction given by God to the agricultural nation of Israel will help you remember one of the most vitally important leadership principles when it comes to teaming. Are you ready? Let's get into it. An ox and a donkey were both capable animals to use when plowing a field. Okay, so that wasn't the question. They could both plow a field. But the instruction here is don't plow with them together. And I want to break it down. And then we can talk about how this applies to teaming. Why not plow with them together? Why not have an ox and an ass on the, yoked together, plowing a field? Well, the simple answer is they're not compatible. They're built different. They are different in size and in stride. The nature of a donkey is self-willed. It's stubborn, pulls in an opposite direction, which actually then made the work of an ox harder. When you put them together, you don't get synergy, you get struggle. Think about what I'm saying. It's an ox and an ass together, and some would say, well, that's logical. At least the donkey is helping out the ox with the field. Well, not necessarily. The donkey could literally make it more difficult for the ox to plow the field. Mismatched partnerships kill progress. You can write this down. Mismatched partnerships kill progress, but alignment builds momentum. Alignment builds momentum. Whether in marriage or ministry, business or leadership, mismatched yokes lead to tension and undermines the potential and the progress. There's an example of this in sports history. For those of you who are basketball fans, you get it right away, and everybody else will get the idea. But in 2004, the Los Angeles Lakers looked like a dynasty in the making. Some of the greatest players, literally, on the same team. You got Kobe Bryant, you got Shaquille O'Neal, you got Karl Malone, Gary Payton. All of those guys were future Hall of Famers. But it didn't work out like the owners and I think the coaches were hoping that it would work out. The team literally started to unravel. the egos clashed and the roles got blurred. That's an example. Mismatched partnership kills progress. Another example from Scripture would be Paul and Barnabas in Acts chapter 15. They were both great leaders in the early church, but they were not aligned. They were mismatched. Mismatched partnership kills progress. So they had to separate. They each went their own way. Like the Apostle Paul's like, no, this ain't working. We're not on the same page. And I think of Barnabas, and I think, well, I'm pretty sure he was a good guy who had good intentions, but they were not aligned. You see, alignment builds momentum. So mismatched partnership will kill your progress, but alignment builds momentum. Alignment isn't just a leadership concept, it's a spiritual principle. When people unite around a God purpose, something supernatural happens. Just remember that. Something supernatural happens when we align together around the purpose of God. We see it in the book of Acts. The early church didn't explode because it had buildings and budgets and branding. They had alignment. Acts chapter 2 says they were all together in one place and in one accord. And what happened next? Momentum. Thousands were added to their number. Communities were transformed. And in just one generation, the gospel spread from Jerusalem to the major cities across the Roman world. Thousands were coming to faith. It wasn't because they agreed on everything. No way. They aligned themselves. They didn't have everything, in agreement. They were literally different ages, and they came from different communities and towns, just like us today. Like, you're going to have your own thoughts on things, but what they did do right was that they aligned on what mattered most. So I want to jump into some added distinction here and help you understand that whenever everyone is pulling in the same direction, your team or any team, there's a few things that happen that I want to share. One is that energy multiplies. Energy multiplies. We call it synergy. In other words, when you have talk about the weight that can be held by one 2x4, well, you would think if you have two 2x4s that it would hold just double the weight. Not true. It literally can hold more than twice the weight. It's called synergy. When everybody's pulling in the same direction, energy multiplies, communication clears up, culture is strengthened, decisions get easier. Let's talk about this for a minute. Culture is strengthened. Let's just say that in our culture at Champion Center, this would be true, that our culture would be to be hospitable, friendly. Parking lot is where it gets started. We want people who are friendly and they are smiling, and we call it generous gestures. So if you have one person doing that, like that's good. You got at least one doing it. But when everybody is doing it, that's what this talks about. Culture gets strengthened. When everybody in the parking lot is on the same page and they come with their generous face on, people see one in the parking lot like that, and they see another one in the park. Man, everybody here is smiling at me. They're really friendly. And then they get to the front doors of the church, and wow, there's some more people who have these kind, generous, welcoming faces. And then they're taking their children over to church kids, and they're at the welcoming debt, kind, generous faces. So when everybody's pulling in the same direction, I'll repeat a couple of these. Energy multiplies, communication clears up, culture strengthens, decisions get easier for sure. I can speak, and many of you leaders can speak from experience on this. is that decisions get easier. Why? Because everybody's pulling the same direction. There's no one who's like questioning things and questioning all the time, and it just gets easier. Unity also, this is the next one, unity protects against enemy attacks. And that is so true. All it takes is a bit of discord on a team, and it can begin with, just people who can be good people. They don't mean to cause trouble, but then the disagreement leads to discord, which then leads to division. So that's all enemy stuff. That's all things that the enemy wants to do to us and our teams, is to get us divided ultimately. And whenever we're pulling the same direction, like we're protected from that. All right? So hopefully you're getting it today. Mismatched partnership kills progress. Kills progress. But being aligned will move things forward. So how to keep your team aligned. Let me talk a little bit about that for a minute. How to keep your team aligned. Alignment doesn't just happen by accident, right? It's got to be intentional. So number one, choose alignment over preference. Alignment over preference. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to talk about and discuss, optional thoughts. But it's not okay to divide the team over the opinions. That's not okay. Jesus himself prayed for his followers. He said, Father, make them one. Make them one. Like, get them on the same page, even as we are one. Number two, have hard conversations early on. This is really important. Like, don't just come together as a team and get everybody on the same, get everybody on the same team without talking about the things that are important to you. Like, start that right away. If you think somebody new to the team may not fit well, make sure that you test that. Make sure you have those conversations quickly. Any hard conversations that you need to have. And this applies even for offense. Like, if there's an offense, potential offense on the team, talk about it. Get it out there quickly. So choose alignment over preference. Have hard conversations early. We're talking about alignment right now. Number three, clarify expectations. No assumptions, no guessing game, clear roles, clear goals. Amos chapter 3 says, can two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Isn't that good? So let's clarify expectations. Number four, lead by example. If you want a culture of honor, then carry honor first. If you're a leader, carry honor. If you want unity, carry unity. Paul told Timothy, set an example of the believers. So lead by example. And number five, we have alignment when we're willing to make the tough calls. This is how you keep your team aligned. Be willing to make the tough calls. Sometimes alignment means releasing someone who refuses to pull together with the team. Back to Deuteronomy 22, I've often kind of thought this out over the years of my leadership. The ox and the ass principle is that basically, if a farmer, was in Israel at that time and they were brand new to this farming thing, they had been slaves for so long, but they're taking over their own new land in the promised land, and he was like plowing with an ass and an ox together because he couldn't afford another ox. And then he heard this principle, don't plow with an ox and an ass together. What would he do? He would need to cut the ass loose. Don't put the ass in the yoke with the ox. Like, leave him alone. Let him go over here. And this is a principle of alignment. Just make the tough call. Make the tough call. Don't rationalize it whenever there is whenever there's not an alignment on the team. Make the tough call. Make sure the team stays free from a misalignment. Okay, one more section, and then we'll be done with today's podcast. And that is just simply that I want to remind you that what we're doing today is so important that we cannot afford to drag dead weight. Think about what I'm saying. If you're a church team that today is going in different directions, this would be a great time to have a conversation. If you're a leader and there is tension, there is strife, there are people who are not in alignment together. I was just at a team church event this past week, and we were in a pastor's session, a breakout, and one of the pastors asked the question, what do I do if the team and the people that I'm working with are, they're just not on the same page? I don't think this is very uncommon. I think it's actually, it's actually very common. Now, I'm not talking about people, again, that are just different. Like, different's okay if we're in alignment while we're different. I'm talking about people that have they're not compatible. There's an incompatibility in working together. This would be a perfect time. That's what I'm saying to you. To talk about it. Like, talk about it. Why do we want to do that? Because the mission is too important to drag dead weight. The ox get tired and weary when they're not only plowing a field, but they're also having to drag the donkey along with them. Are you getting the picture? So I'm not in favor of just some slicing, dicing, cutting people off. That is not the point. The point is, like Paul and Barnabas did in the book of Acts, let's have some conversation, and let's just say, it's not always good or bad. We don't have to demonize people who are not on the page with us. But I do think that the mission is too important to drag dead weight and to allow ourselves to somehow get weighted down by tensions and misalignment on the team. Hope this is helping you today. I hope this will maybe help you remember the principle of alignment by thinking about this verse out of ancient times. Don't plow with an ox and an ass together. God bless you guys.